Have you ever been at your lowest point, when even buying food felt impossible? What if in that moment a stranger stepped in, only to disappear without a word? This is the story of a tired mother, standing in a grocery store line with nothing left. It's about the weight of silent struggles, and the kindness that can heal them. Stay with me, because her life would change in the most unexpected way. Maria was just 32, but life had aged her far beyond her years. Every morning she woke up before sunrise, not because she wanted to, but because her son Daniel depended on her. He was only 8 years old, full of life and dreams, yet Maria often wondered how long she could keep those dreams alive. Her husband had left years ago, disappearing without explanation. Since then, Maria carried everything on her shoulders. Bills piled up on the kitchen table, the rent notice stuck to the fridge with a magnet that once held Daniel's drawings. The fridge itself was nearly empty. A few eggs, half a loaf of bread, and a small carton of milk, barely enough to stretch through the week. Maria worked long shifts at a diner, but no matter how many hours she worked, the money always ran short. She would smile while serving customers, but inside, her heart was heavy. Sometimes she skipped meals just so Daniel could eat a little more. That Saturday morning, Maria stood at the kitchen counter, counting coins in her hand. Every clink of metal echoed in the small, quiet room. Daniel sat nearby, swinging his legs on the chair, his big eyes watching her silently. He never complained, but Maria knew he noticed. "Mom," he whispered softly, "can we get apples today?" Maria forced a smile, even though she knew she couldn't promise. She nodded, kissed his forehead, and said, "We'll see." Together, they walked to the grocery store. The bright aisles smelled of fresh bread and coffee. Shoppers pushed carts filled with fruits, snacks, and all the things Maria couldn't afford. She clutched a small basket instead, picking up only the cheapest items, a bag of rice, a few cans of beans, and one pack of pasta. Still, with every item, she calculated carefully. Her basket was light, but her heart felt heavier than ever. She avoided looking at the families who shopped freely, laughing as they filled their carts. She didn't want Daniel to feel the difference between them and everyone else. At the checkout counter, Maria placed her items gently on the conveyor belt, her fingers trembling as she counted the last few coins in her purse. She prayed it would be enough, but deep down she already knew. It wasn't. The cashier scanned the items one by one. The screen lit up with the total, far more than the coins Maria held in her hand. Her stomach tightened. "I'm sorry," Maria said softly, her voice barely audible. "Can you take off the rice? And the apples, too?" Daniel's face fell when he heard the word apples. He lowered his head, pretending not to care, but Maria saw the disappointment in his eyes. It crushed her inside. The cashier sighed, impatiently removing the items. People in line behind them began to shift and whisper. Some tapped their feet, others rolled their eyes. Maria felt every stare, every ounce of judgment pressing down on her. "Come on, lady, hurry up," a man muttered from the back. Her cheeks burned with shame. She wished she could disappear. She wanted to tell them she wasn't lazy, that she worked hard every single day, but no one cared to hear her story. All they saw was a woman who couldn't afford her groceries. When the cashier announced the new total, Maria dug through her purse desperately, pulling out every coin she had. Her hands shook, her eyes blurred with tears she tried to hide. Still, she was short. "I'm sorry," she whispered again, her voice breaking. I don't have enough." The cashier gave her a cold look. "Then you'll have to leave something else." Maria glanced at the small pile of food. It wasn't much already. Taking away anything more would mean her son went hungry. Her throat tightened. She turned toward Daniel, who stood silently by her side, his tiny hands clutching the basket handle. His eyes glistened, but he said nothing. He knew better than to ask for more. At that moment, Maria felt completely defeated. The weight of life's unfairness pressed down on her shoulders. She wanted to scream, to cry, but instead she simply lowered her head in silence. Just as Maria was about to return another item, a voice spoke gently from behind. "I've got it." Maria froze. Slowly, she turned her head. Behind her stood a man she had never seen before. He was tall, dressed simply, holding nothing but a wallet in his hand. His eyes were kind, filled with warmth instead of judgment. Before Maria could say anything, he stepped forward and handed his card to the cashier. "Add everything back," he said softly. The cashier hesitated but obeyed, scanning the rice and the apples again. Maria's eyes widened. "No, please." "You don't have to," she stammered, her cheeks wet with tears. The man simply smiled. "Everyone deserves to go home with a full basket." Maria couldn't find the words. She covered her mouth with her hand as tears streamed freely. Daniel tugged at her sleeve, whispering, "Mom, he got the apples!" His little face lit up with a smile she hadn't seen in so long. When the bags were packed, Maria turned quickly to thank the stranger, but he was gone. Just like that. No name, no goodbye, no chance to even repay him. She stood frozen for a moment, clutching the grocery bags, her heart overwhelmed. In that instant, the shame she had carried all morning was replaced by something new: hope. On the walk home, Daniel kept holding up the apples, his laughter echoing through the street. Maria smiled through her tears, feeling lighter than she had in years. A stranger had seen her, not as a burden, not as a failure, but as a human being worthy of kindness. That night, Maria placed the apples on the table, cutting one into slices for Daniel. As she watched him eat happily, she whispered a prayer for the man who had vanished. Whoever he was, he had given her far more than groceries. He had given her strength. Sometimes, the smallest gesture can mean the world to someone. We may never know the battles others are fighting in silence. One act of kindness can lift a heart that's breaking. Like Maria, someone out there just needs hope and a helping hand. Be the stranger who chooses kindness, because it can change everything.